Almost 1 million people in Scotland are living in poverty. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation annual report has slammed the UK and Scottish governments for a lack of action to tackle the problem. 240,000 children are now living in poverty, and the number of people living in very deep poverty has surged to 40% of all families. That's up by 26% from the mid-1990s. The GRF say families are being locked into poverty by a failing social security system. And the Scottish Government will almost certainly miss its interim child poverty targets. Gráinne Ní Ghréacháin spoke to some of those struggling to make ends meet.
After a marriage breakdown, Freya became a single mother of 2 living in temporary accommodation. Struggling financially, she had no choice but to live day to day.
I was watching the meter a lot, and I would get up in the night and look at the meter and go, is that going to make it through to Wednesday morning? Is that going to, going to the supermarket? And it wasn't like I splashed out a lot, but I was very much, if I buy all these with all these labels, am I going to be able to fit them into a freezer? And the kids' clothes and getting the clothing, it was like my brain constantly swirling.
Despite working, she still finds herself living in poverty and has been forced to use food banks to make ends meet.
I just tried to think, right, lots of people are doing this, lots of people are doing this. It's not just me, I've got to do it, I've got to do it. But it did make you feel a little bit sick inside. But you just remember everybody's going through something right now.
More than 1 million people are trapped in poverty in Scotland, including 250,000 children. A new report found 95% of single parents rely on benefits as part of their income, and 62% of families where someone has a disability. Children and working age adults in households with a disability are more than 3 times more likely to be in poverty. The Joseph Rowntree Foundation are calling for immediate action from both the Scottish and UK government.
Part of our report today, frankly, is a bit of a love letter to our social security system. We all, as a population, need to rely on it. Life trips us up, relationships break down, people lose their jobs, and we need a bit of support. Both of our governments, the UK government and the Scottish government, need to seize the powers that they have in their hand and invest in that system, because that's an investment in our people.
With half of children in minority ethnic families trapped in poverty, this charity in Aberdeen say they offer a lifeline to those struggling the most, supporting more than 70 families a week.
It's a lot of factors. When people move into a new country, they've had to leave their jobs. They have to have that window where they look for a new job. And within those time periods, it's tough. The rent is high, the cost of living is high, everything is on the roofs.
With 3 weeks to go until the UK government's first budget, a new task force to tackle child poverty has been established, while the Scottish Government says it's doing everything it can within its power.
The GRF are quite right to say that there is more to do. That's exactly why the Scottish Government is spending around £3 billion a year supporting people in low incomes, trying to tackle that cost of living crisis. And I hope that I can work for the first time with a UK government that actually has that endeavour of reducing poverty as well.
As the cold winter nights fast approach, food banks like this one will continue seeing a surge in numbers, and more families will be forced to make impossible choices between heating and eating. Gráinne Ní Ghréacháin, STV News.